Can everyone hear me? Everyone in the back? Say hey yo. Hey yo. There you go. Let's say it one more time. Everyone in the back say hey yo. Hey yo. I like that. Awesome. Thank you very much for having me today. It's an honor. It is my first time in Singapore. So I'm very, very excited to be for the first time actually on such a stage as well. It's impressive to see BCD here in Singapore for the first time. So thank you. Big applause for everyone for hosting us and organizing everything. Thank you. Today we're going to speak about a topic that's very important to me. It's all about unlocking success. Success is a big word, right? But we'll get to that. I think success is a big word because the question is always how do we measure success? Right? However, for the term today we use it for different reasons because I think success is an important word to use. I think every single person in this room is successful in at least one thing or many other things, right? But also I think everyone in this room wants to be more successful on so many different levels. So that's why I use that word purposely. Today we're going to speak about the power of health and well-being in business. But before we do that, I'm going to ask you a very simple question. Do you invest in your staff? Who of you is a decision maker in their hospitality venue or venues and does invest into their staff? Please put your hand up. Is no one investing in their staff? There we go, one over here. Anyone else? Two? Anyone else? Okay, cool, interesting. If I may introduce myself, my name is Jason Candid, and as the introduction made by Lou already said, I am an award-winning bartender. It's just a good term to sell yourself, I guess, so I highly recommend every single person to do so, whether if it is award-winning bartender or anything else in front of your name, bartender, or the title bartender. However, we are all the same in this room. We are all bartenders, or in some sorts of hospitality professionals. As the introduction by Lou already said, I'm also a certified nutritionist. And that's really very openly said because I was bored during COVID. And I kind of had to stimulate my brain. So during that time, being completely off work, I focused on really understanding nutrition, or from a different standpoint, it was really food. During COVID, we had a lot of time. So as we all know, time is amazing. So I've done a lot of fermentation, and at some point brought me a little more into food. In addition to that, I'm the co-owner and director of Healthy Hospital. Today, we're going to start with a quick session overview. The first point here is a quick career rundown. It's not necessarily to promote myself or speak about how amazing someone is. It has nothing to do with that. It has more to do to give us the opportunity to connect on different levels. Because I always feel like if someone stands in front of you, you always look for something that brings you together or some similarities. And this is solely the reason why I go swiftly through my career. Then after that, we're going to do a quick introduction to Healthy Hospital, which is basically the most recent project I've been working on for the past 2 years. Then we're going to look at the state of our industry. We're going to look at why and how to invest into health and well-being in business. We're going to move on to how can Healthy Hospital help, because that's also incredibly important as we have this our daily bread, as we have quite a few tools. And then we're going to finish up with a conclusion. All of that, of course, in time. Awesome. Well, the outcome of the session today is really about understanding the importance of health and well-being in hospitality. Because again, we all know we are hospitality professionals. We all know how physically it can be challenging, but also emotionally and mentally. Then the next outcome is definitely getting inspired. Getting inspired by this session is vital for us. But then also getting inspired and knowing where to find the tools and then actively drive change. Change starts with oneself. And then with the rest of the people around you. Then we're going to look at the benefits of the outcome, and then last but not least, we're going to get you to become a supporter of Healthy Hospital. But not only Healthy Hospital itself, but in health and well-being in general in hospitality. So the career rundown. I started in hospitality when I was 16 years old, so that's in 2009. I worked in restaurants, I worked in cafes and hotels. I've done a few things, but way away from the bar. So the bar industry started a little later, about 2012 if I'm not mistaken. Thank you very much. Thank you. However, I am Swiss, as I already said before. I'm half Swiss, half Tanzanian. I'm born and raised in Switzerland. And in 2017, when I was 23, 24 years old, I received the title of being the best bartender in Switzerland. Switzerland is a very small market. It's not like Singapore. Singapore is very, very advanced. However, in such a young age, being receiving such a great title, what was for me very important and glamorous at that time, actually made me realize that there is so much more. First of all, you might have your beautiful high, you feel like, oh, you're on top of the world. But then I actually, had to step back and really realize that, first of all, there's much more. And second of all, what does such a title actually mean? Why I'm speaking about this is because this is incredibly important. We live in a day and age of hospitality, or specifically bartending careers, where we are, where accolades are all around us. And accolades are great because they give you the opportunity to, first of all, you receive, you get acknowledged for the work that you do, and you receive a lot of pride, and you become very proud. However, when these things happen too early, we might damage ourselves, right? In 2018, I decided to leave Switzerland to join the Savoy. So in 2017, just before I left, 2018, just before I left, I was a bar manager in an incredible venue in Switzerland. When I came to London, to the Savoy, I started again from the bottom, being actually a barback. A slave to the bar. We all know these different terms, right? Meanwhile, I disagreed with them. But this is what the culture was in such a building. So here, for more than a year, I really had to understand and learn. I really had to just literally shut up and work. Meanwhile, I knew where I was coming from and what I've had achieved before. But this had a massive impact on my mental and physical health. Because I was pushing, and trying to get somewhere, and trying to prove to the world that I am worth something just by the work, rather than looking at myself, rather than putting values on myself, by myself. I was looking at success and expecting the value that people would give me. Right? So, just after a year, I completely burned out. In the same year, we actually won the Europe's best bar, world's best bar, and best bar team. I remember actually holding the 3 plates of Tales of the Cocktail in the same year. So in my career, I was at the highest point ever. But at the same time, I was at the lowest point ever. So here what I'm trying to say is, yes, awards are amazing, are incredible. But what's the cost of it? How do we measure success? Luckily, COVID saved me. I'm not a pro-COVID person, of course not. And I also understand how COVID has damaged many, many businesses and many, many lives. I understand that. However, for me it was very beneficial because it forced me to stop. It forced me to rethink about everything, about myself, about my values, about who I really was, and how I would define myself. Back in the days, I was a guy that worked at the Savoy. I wasn't Jason. Right? And I'm saying that because how often do we use Instagram? And we profile ourselves with a career or a CV on our Instagram, or the way that we introduce ourselves is, hey, I'm that guy working there. Right? This is how we introduce ourselves. It makes sense because we're hospitality professionals, but how deep do you go into yourself? And what are the values of yourself? Right? So it was a steep learning curve for me, professionally, but also personally. However, COVID was kind of like a time where I could really, really focus on myself. After COVID, in 2021, we opened up a new project in London, basically bringing the Nora Hotel from the US but outside of the US for the first time, launching in London. An amazing venture, very successful. Guess what? Burnout number 2. So how do we measure success? However, I decided to give up my shakers to join Healthy Hospital. And so let's talk a little bit about Healthy Hospital. Healthy Hospital is a non-profit organization that was founded in 2017 by our founder, Tim. Tim is the complete opposite of me. Tim is tall, Tim is white, Tim is bald. Hi Tim. Please raise your hand or your middle finger. So this is Tim. Tim founded our organization after a complete breakdown. One night night he locked himself up with a handful of pills and a few bottles of bourbon, and he was ready to take his life. Because actually working in the industry for 25 years and being a decade older than I am, and most of us in this room, where health and well-being and mental health wasn't really a topic, he couldn't find any exit except this sole option. Luckily he failed. And this is the best thing he's ever failed at. After 9 months of rehab, he understood. First of all, he went vocal with his story. And people would basically support him. However, more people would actually reach out to him and ask him for advice, because he was going through such a difficult time. And many other people all around the world were going through such a difficult time too. So this is when he decided he couldn't turn his back to the industry, and he had to create something for the greater good of all of us in this room and the whole hospitality industry on a global level. And this is when Healthy Hospital was born, back in 2017. It was built, or it was created, it was founded to build a healthier and happier hospitality industry. Today, Healthy Hospital has a team of 8 incredible individuals, all of them with different backgrounds in hospitality. Some of our ladies are genius when it comes to wine. Some of our guys have worked in some of the most incredible bars, or managed some of these bars. Some of them have worked with brands for over a decade. So it's quite nice to see how people in the industry are actually dedicated to invest their free time into a non-profit organization to improve the hospitality industry on a global scale. So at this point, I would just really would love to ask you for an applause for the team at Healthy Hospital, please. Now let's look at our industry. Our team, back in 2022, we've done a survey, a global survey. It was running for about a year. The survey touched every single continent. And this is the outcome. We look at numbers, and we realized more than a third, so 38% to be very specific, of hospitality workers were actually suffering a severe psychological distress. So here you can see the mental state of our industry. 32% reported an increase in psychological distress, meaning that it was worse than the year before. Again, 1/3. Moving on to 59%, which is almost 2/3, have reported that their workplaces wouldn't actually provide mental health support or mental health trainings, which means that topic was non-existent. Still, and last but not least, 1/3 of hospitality workers reported to leave hospitality in 2023, which is this year. So imagine we already have lost 1/3, or we are on the way to lose 1/3 of hospitality workers just this year. So imagine if you move on. What about next year, and the year after, and the year after? This curve is exponential. Now we speak about recruitment crisis. So obviously, there's no wonder we are losing people. But then also the other part is, there's no wonder we're not getting people into the industry. Because if I look at these numbers, which are terrific, but they have to be shown, we need to rethink of how are we actually designing the future of hospitality. And the next question is, if you would have a child, would you suggest them hospitality? Right? We need to rethink that. I'm not here to show numbers and make everyone feel negative. Not at all. But the only way that we can actually improve something is by measuring it, and then talking about it, and actively doing a change, and then actively doing something for a greater change. Can anyone tell me what this symbol is?
Fire needs to happen.
Yes. So this is called the triangle of fire. It's quite interesting because normally every venue, depending on where you are in the world, every venue gives you a health and safety training, where we understand and learn if we have some hazards. You could trip, and injure yourself, if there's a fire, where is the exit? Right? All the exits are always very well lit. So this is a triangle of fire, explaining how a fire can actually happen. You see that specifically in kitchens, but also in a restaurant or in a bar. We work with candles, we might, torch flame something. So the way that fire works is you need all three elements in that triangle to actually make a fire. So if you remove one of them, there's no fire. This is exactly how I see hospitality. Hospitality works the exact same way. It's a triangle. On one side, of course, we have hospitality venues, because otherwise we couldn't provide hospitality. Of course, we have hospitality workers, because otherwise no one would provide that hospitality. And last but not least, we have suppliers and or brands. I use suppliers specifically when it comes to restaurants and food and ingredients, but then when we look at brands, these are our ingredients in the bar, right? So it's both the same thing. Without suppliers, products, we're not able to actually run a business. So now imagine if you remove one of them, nothing would work. But obviously our focus is hospitality workers. So imagine if we burn these up, there is no hospitality anymore. Now talking about this in that specific way, this is how we can actually understanding the importance of this and that triangle. Because that's the understanding that hospitality workers need the support from brands and venues. So why invest in half of your business? First of all, investing into the health of your business means actually to the health of your staff. And the first reason is, why wouldn't you? It's a people business. It's the biggest cost you have in any business, is the people. So why wouldn't you invest into your most important asset? But then also it's about people, serving people. So just be human. Investing into your team means that you're human. You are a human being investing into your human beings. No team, no dream. Another reason why investing in half of your business is crucial is because it increases sales. I know myself on my good days. I know myself on my bad days. I don't want to talk to anyone. I avoid contact. Worked in hospitality, right? So the contact to guests, customers, people is crucial for the experience, but then also from a sales point of view. So then, the better someone is, the more sales we get for the venue. The more sales actually the venue makes, the more interesting becomes a venue to brands. And so therefore, the more sales we have, the more do brands actually benefit. So here again, we go back to that triangle. Another point is obviously the recruitment crisis that we touched on just a little earlier on. We are in a recruitment crisis. Of course, there are several factors in there. We speak about COVID. We speak about, in the UK at least, Brexit. We speak about the cost of living crisis. We speak about so many factors, inflation, so many things. But also we speak about the new generation, Gen Z, right? So what are we doing to actually prevent or to improve the recruitment crisis? How do we get out of it? How are we making hospitality a long-term career for individuals? And how are we making hospitality a long-term industry? But all of that needs to be taught. It starts with advocacy. Advocacy, right now, and the way it was the past 50 years, let's say, is mainly brand advocacy. So if you look at like the trainings in venues, I would say 90 to 95% of the trainings in venues are made by brands. So Mr. XYZ from brand ABC comes along and gives you a training about how amazing their venue is. Of course, it's a great venue. And we need these trainings because otherwise you don't understand the product, you don't know how to sell. So it's incredibly important. However, brand advocacy can't be the majority of advocacy that we actually get in venues. How about trainings about health and well-being? Understanding how people can sustain themselves. How people can be happy, not only at work, but also home. There's old sayings saying, specifically when I started my career in the industry, which would say, well, Leave your problems at home. Once you go through this door, you need to put a mask on and be happy. It doesn't work like this. I understand what you're saying, and I'm acknowledging it. And to a certain extent, we have to make that effort. However, suppressing your feelings and not being able to talk about things is the worst thing that you can promote in business. But also from the human side of things. Right? Another part of advocacy is venue trainings. How many of you are venues? So first of all, who has a bar or a restaurant? Hand up, please. Okay. Anyone else in the room? No? Who works in a bar or a restaurant or hotel? Okay, that's a few more hands, alright. Don't be shy. How many of you have a bar program? Like a proper training plan? There you go. One person in the room. Two, thank you. So now we have to rethink. It's part of a business plan. It's not about opening up a venue and just selling drinks. Where are you going? Maybe this is the only way that you can start, which is also fine. However, timing is always a thing. However, if you want to be successful, make a business successful long term, you're gonna have to build a training plan. And the training plan is not to know everything about American oak and French oak and the difference between it and how a rotovap functions. A training program is a program that is diverse and feeds your staff with knowledge all across the board. And this is where health and well-being is as an important part of it. We have worked very closely with quite a few brands over the past years. And the beauty here is we have taught them and have worked with them to build brand advocacy that would add values to their lives. Not to them, but to the consumers or frontliners or people actually participating in these activities. We worked with Martini to create the Martini Ciclismo, where it was all about getting people together and do spin classes. The more you would do spin classes, so everything was on record, the more you would do spin classes, the more you would cycle to work, the more points you could gain. After a certain period of time, the best 30, 50 people, they got actually invited to Italy to do a huge run with the bike. The owner of Martini explained to us in the history of the brand, and we all know how old Martini is, it has never happened. It has never happened that almost no one drank Martini on their own events. Because people were so focused and people wanted to be healthy and wanted to participate and make and give the best in this race. In this race and that community event. But this is just one example. There are way more. With Reka, there were the Reka runners. A group getting together and actually running. For the mental health but physical health as well. Last year, it was this year actually, being part of Hennessy Pioneer, where Hennessy gets people into Cognac for a few days and learning about so many different parts of advocacy. And us coming in and holding a session about sustainability, but actually people sustainability. Sustainability is a word that's used all across the board. And we often refer to producers, planet, sometimes profit, which is incredibly important in that too. But how about people's sustainability, right? And then there's many more, which you not going to go into right now. So from our perspective as Healthy Hospital, we have built 7 pillars. One of them is the umbrella term, which is mental health. Again, a trendy word. Can anyone in this room tell me what mental health means?
Emotional well-being.
Emotional well-being?
Yeah.
Yes. Something else? Don't be shy, throw it in. Anyone else?
Psychological stability.
Psychological stability? Yes. Anyone else? There's so many terms. Please, join us. You got one? Peace. Beautiful. Peaceful. A peaceful, or a peace of mind, peaceful mind. Right. Well, basically, mental health is literally everything that happens in your brain, whether if it is positive or negative mental health, right? Well, there is no negative mental health, in my personal opinion. I always feel there are no problems, there are challenges. Problems is a dead road, how do you say it? It's just one way. Challenges are there to be overcome. However, mental health is everything that happens in here. So we use this term as an umbrella term. And we also look at like, what does impact mental health? And this is where the rest of the pillars basically fall into. We look at like sleep. Who had good sleep today? There you go. How do you feel?
Still tired.
Still tired? You're not helping. I love that. Very honest at least. Great. Who had a good breakfast today? How do you feel? Better? Yeah, here you go. Of course, we're here at the bar convention, and there are a lot of events, right? And so therefore, you might go out for a little longer. So then, to sustain yourself, you go for a great breakfast, right? But if you look at other of these elements, like for example, financial health. I was very lucky today, I discovered the gym in the hotel. Did a bit of yoga, and went for a little sneaky run. It wasn't that big, but it just made me feel good, right? And made me pumped up, and being positive, being proud, and being happy. And so all of these elements actually do impact your mental health. One of them that's often ignored is, for example, financial health. Whether this is on a personal level or on a professional level. For those who know, for those who work, don't have a business, but work for someone, and you reach the end of the month, and you still haven't been paid, and you can't pay your bills, how do you feel? Anxious. Someone's chasing you for money, how do you feel? Anxious. So all of that has an impact on your mental health. For those people actually running a business, they know that even better. How do you feel when the numbers don't look great and you have 10 staff to pay, which you can't? And knowing that you can't, or you can't right now, puts a huge mental stress on you because you know how that affects them as well. So it's literally the same thing, just on a larger scale. But then we also look at connections. How do you connect with yourself? How do you connect with others? How do you connect with nature? Understanding how the power of nature and what it does to your mental health is crucial. Have you ever hugged a tree? Have you ever walked barefoot in sand on the beach? Simple feelings. Maybe it might tickle a little, or it's very hot, which I've learned here in Singapore. But look at the benefits it gives you. But all of these are a lot of different tips for yourself. Because I always believe if you want to improve something, you need to start with yourself. However, we also needed to look and change of the way that we started Healthy Hospital in like helping just individuals. We had to scale up and also come up with a strategy on how actually are we able to teach decision makers. And so therefore healthy operations is something, it's not a subject, but we really tackle on what can you do on a daily basis in operations for you to have a better shift, but also as a leader, being able to provide the best you can for your staff. So then, you know how it is when you work in a place where the structure is pretty good, the way that you work afterwards is way more efficient, way quicker, way more enjoyable. And so this is an important topic as well. Last but not least, leadership. The way I see leadership is not a position. Position is something like a supervisor, a bar manager, or even an owner. Even though if he is not employed, it's a position. But everyone can be a leader, and this is the difference. And this is something which I find groundbreaking and important. Every single person in this room can, at any given time, just step up and take the lead to improve something. The way that we hold our seminars is either in person, like today, 45-minute seminars, training, talks, different way to go about it. Talking about physical, mental, emotional exercises, not only talking about them, but then also actively doing something, whatever this might be, a sports session, or a bit of a yoga, or understanding of posture, the way that you shape, how this impacts your body. Understanding that a very simple rubber mat underneath your bar, underneath on the floor, could actually improve or sustain some of the issues that you might get in your knees or in your lower back. And then running some community events, where it's not specifically about the venue, and it's not necessarily about training, but it's really about getting people together and getting people out. Some of you are in the room. We've started basically BCB on Sunday already. We did a beautiful nature walk on Sentosa Island. And we had nothing, drinks had nothing to do with the event. We got together, we met new people, we made new friends, we've seen all the faces. No offense. We walked together, and today we are family. However, these are all in-person sessions that we can offer. However, technology is the way forward. So therefore, we've built a digital training classroom where people can, wherever they are in the world, as long as they have a device and connection, they can access all our courses and our resources online. They do have a cost globally, but that costs less than a cup of coffee. And the idea here is not to make profit here. The idea here is to support our industry at almost no cost. But how can we help further? Us as Healthy Hospital, but also us as every single individual in this room. It starts with taking the leadership and inspiring the industry. You don't need to stay on the stage to inspire someone else. You don't need anyone in the room to even inspire yourself. The way that we can talk to more people, our stage is like that. Coming to different types of bar shows, whatever if it's Athens Bar Show, which is starting actually today, in Greece, Imbibe in London Cocktail Week, BCBs, now almost all around the world. I've actually asked the owner of BCB today in the club, I asked her, when is BCB launching in Africa? Because that's where my heart belongs. So you can see more and more and more is happening. However, talking is not everything. We need action. And this is where we really want everyone in the room to understand that you do have the power to change and inspire communities as well. We have internationally, our team of 8 people is international. We have 2 in New Zealand, and then the rest are in Europe, in different countries. However, we're not internally, we also partner up with different people all around the world that help us to set up community events, doing some yoga sessions together, boxing sessions. I met Peter in London, playing football together. He was in London for 24 hours, and one of our mates asked if someone had a spare pair of boots, and I had one, so I brought it over. And then he, came along and we played football together. And this is how we met. Drinks were not involved at all. And today, or the past nights, Peter has shown me all around Singapore. So you can see how you can bring people together without actually having booze as a main focus. And I think this is what I believe is the future, and this is what we need in our hospitality industry. If you feel like, hey, I can't do this, how shall I scale this up? Reach out. We have the tools, we have the brand. Talk to us, and we can help you to create what your vision is in your own city, in your own community. However, it's all about building better cultures. One of my favorite sayings is, culture eats strategy for breakfast. In our industry, we focus way too much on strategy. It's all about how does my cocktail look, what's the design of my cocktail menu, what's the design of my bar, what's the next fridge I'm going to buy, or next tool we're going to buy. That's a clear strategy, which is great. But if you have an amazing strategy and you have a toxic culture in your business, you won't get anywhere. So again, everything starts from within. In yourself first, and then in your surrounding. It's a very simple question, but why work with Healthy Hospital? And what can Healthy Hospital bring to the table? Most of that we already looked at. But also, we hope you understand that health and well-being is the future. It has always existed, but we've just never talked about it. And so if you want to look into the future of hospitality, health and well-being needs to be an important part of it. Otherwise, we're not working sustainably. So we spoke about life-changing brand advocacy. We spoke about improving the on-trade, the health and well-being of the on-trade. We spoke about supporting the hospitality as a whole, whatever this is, in just in your city or country or continent or on a global level. However, we are just bartenders. Bartenders understanding how we felt in these days when we weren't feeling good. Understanding that we didn't have some of these tools. When I say we, I speak about those people that are in the industry for a little longer. 10, 15, 20 years and above. Understanding back in the days, none of that was existent. So we understand bartenders, we understand hospitality professionals because we are one of them. However, I'm not certified in counseling. There are so many topics I need to learn. However, I'm not certified in anything except nutrition. And even then, when it comes to nutrition, I can give you some advices. And I can look at the training plans that we have. However, we still get professional, real nutritionists in. Or someone like Nick, who's one of our experts, talking about sleep and the importance of sleep. Nick is the person that, if you look into the topic of sleep, he has created the whole module for us, basically for you. Nick is an expert in what he does. He has been teaching about sleep for the Formula One, for Team Sky, for Real Madrid, the tiny football club, the British Olympics. And the reason why we work with Nick is because he worked with sports people. And so the way I see the industry, and specifically industry professionals, is we are sports people. Look at the shifts we do. Look how many hours. Look at the mental challenge. Look at the trainings, the physical exhaustion. My partner called this time travel. Look at the different time zones we find ourselves in. Look at the travels, the amount of travels we have. This is on our body exactly the same thing that someone who exercises professionally. Right? And so this is why Nick is just the perfect fit for us, because he understands that we don't do 9 to 5. He understands that our schedule changes on daily or weekly or monthly basis. And so he's the perfect fit. Peter is another one. Peter made us understand that there is mental health, the actual state of your mind, the actual health of your mind. We knew that. What we didn't know is he came up with a term which exists, he didn't make it up, which is mental fitness. Can someone tell me what the difference is? Mental health, the state of your mind, the actual state of your mind. Mental fitness is actively improving the mental state. Right? So he made us understand that to be mentally healthy, we need to train the brain on so many different levels. And these are just some of our experts. And there are many, many more, which you'll be able to discover if you check out our digital classroom. However, the conclusion of this seminar is pretty simple and summed up in 8 points. The first one is for me the most important one. It's connect. Connect with yourself first. Take your time with it. We tend to be too fast with everything. Hold on, take your breath, connect. Think, put your phone aside, connect with yourself. And then connect with others. And then connect with nature. In which way? It's up to you to figure out. Nature is everywhere. The second one will be invest in you. Again, we start with ourselves first. There's that analogy when you fly, when you're in an airplane, it says, in case of emergency, put the oxygen mask on yourself first, and then help others. If you would do it the other way around, you wouldn't be able to help anyone, because you will suffocate. The third one is one of my favorite ones. Talk less, listen more. We say we were born with 2 ears and 1 mouth, because we're meant to listen the double amount of what we're talking. That we know that, work hard, we know that. He's like, we work hard, party hard, yeah, I'm a man. First one having a burnout, right? So the way I see it is work hard, rest harder. You don't need to do everything. You don't need to see all the gestures. You don't need to see all the amazing bars in Singapore. Definitely, highly recommend you do and see some, but if you don't do all of them, it's fine. So also take a rest. Work hard, rest harder. Then be a leader, not the boss. It's mindset, it's our position. This is how we improve. Looking into nutrition, eat more plants, drink less booze. How to say on the bar convention, right? Exercise physically and mentally, little but often. You don't feel like exercising, it's fine. The way that I normally wake up is like, well, I have my schedule every day, 5 minutes yoga, just 5. Just go down, stretch a little bit, it's fine. The funny thing is, because it's just 5 minutes, I actually end up doing it. If I put on my diary, my calendar, half an hour of yoga every morning I'll be like, oh, fuck this. Because I don't want to do it. Or maybe I might do it once. But because I just put very, very small goals, small targets, then I end up doing it for 5 minutes. And then I'm already there, and I'm warmed up, and then my body goes like, well, and I just go home. And then suddenly I realize I've done 20 minutes. So really, I understand setting high goals to achieve as much as we can. Yes. But also think of the power of small goals, small targets, but more often. It gives you actually the opportunity to achieve more. And last but not least, the most important one is open conversation. Because again, if we don't talk about things, if we're not real and honest about things, we won't be able to drive change. So open up conversations and drive change for yourself and then for your community. Every little helps to make a difference. To finish up today, I brought you something small, but very powerful. The QR code on the left-hand side is a direct access to 9 different courses on our digital learning platform. Underneath you have a discount code. Discount code gives you 100% free access for 3 months. After 3 months, we won't charge anything because it just runs out. So it's not a trap. We're not like that. We're here to help. So the idea here is you have 9 different courses of all our pillars across. Use the QR code, use the discount code, access it for 3 months, take as much as you can out of it. And we hope it helps you. On the other side, we've just been doing a fundraising. So for people who feel you would like to support the non-profit organization, then there's another code that leads you to another page to support. But obviously, there's no must. We're here to give, and that's for us the most important thing. I'm going to leave that slide up, so you'll have then the opportunity to just jump to the front and access that. However, thank you very much for your attention, and thank you for joining the first session today. It's probably a little early for night owls. Thank you very much.
Healthy Hospice help people and businesses to achieve through your various activities. Health and well-being is such a hot topic.